She doesn't lift her gaze from her drink. She's not interested in you at all.
I'm your true rebel. I'm telling you, if they got nothing to hide, they got nothing to forget.
It's broken. Seems I can't use that right now.
The spirit of Wivlia glares at you with all the venom she can muster.
found something.
What do you want? Can't you see I'm busy? Oh, you want a list? I've got eggs to lay, grass to tidy, grain to clear, and magister boots to peck. Now if you'll excuse me.
Well, ain't you a tall drink of tallness? What can I do for you, honey?
She fluffs them and coos.
You're so very, very sweet to notice, honey. Ain't easy keeping him so nice in a dusty town like this. But I do take pride in him. Sure, why not? Not all of them hatch, you know. And between you and me, honey, I don't mind the taste of an omelette now and again. Go on and scoot then, honey.
Oh, what is it? Peckish? Is that a joke of some kind? If it is, it's only a little funny. But you tried, and that's something. So here, take an egg for your effort.
Oh, please, Lucian, spare me. Oh,
I'll stay out of there, thanks.
occupied! Oh, unholy hells! Do I sound like I'm alright? That's what I get. Bloody tainted stew! Made us a little, fish into some of my stew. Bloody mackerel must have been tainted. Save me, Lucian!
Her munificence Dallis the Hammer, Scourge of the Voidwoken and Saviour of the Sorcerers, upon the advice of her most sage council, in her capacity as the titular head of our beloved Lucian's divine order, hereby layeth bounty upon the fell sorcerer murderers of Alexander, Bishop Divine. She, or he, or it, who slayeth said sorcerers, or other sorcerers, with malice or without, may count upon the hammer's most benign and just benevolence. The deaths of the evil ones shall be rewarded in this life and the next. Hail to the hammer, 7 times blessed.
Why the devil is this stall out in the open? Why the devil is this stall out in the open?
The poster flutters lightly in the breeze.
It proved to be child's play to outwit her. No doubt it'll be child's play to cut her down.
Slipped her noose in Fort Joy. I'm not too worried about slipping it again.
We slipped her island without too much of a to-do. The Divine Order isn't as all-powerful as it likes to think.
She seems to be out for blood. I fear I may, for once, be found lacking.
Let her cower on that ship of hers and be glad the water's too foul for me to swim.
No news here. Everyone wants a piece of me.
Looks like we're on the wanted list.
I feel so special.
This must be the place Lora mentioned. It looks unassuming enough.
The dwarf is unnaturally still. You might mistake her for a corpse, were it not for a slight twitch of her eyelids. She calmly opens her left eye, then her right.
What do you want?
The dwarf unfolds her arms and shoots to her feet.
All right, human. Well, glad Lohar ain't left us here to wither. Those brutes are taking their sweet time down there. I gotta send word soon. Who knows? Anything that gives away what Mordus has been up to. Probably got all sorts of tricks for covering his tracks, but the goons downstairs should sniff out something. That weird priest's been hanging around Lohar for ages. Now he's vanished. Poof. Those half-wits below will know more. Get to it then. But tell the lunkheads that Glenna sent you before they bash your brains in.
Open the hatch then.
Maybe if we had a crowbar.
You think a crowbar would open this thing? Oh, you got rocks knocking around that noggin of yours. We'd have more luck asking dude to open it for us than for it to budge by our own hands. Crowbar would open this thing. Oh, you got rocks knocking around that noggin of yours.
What's this? I found something.
We'd have more luck asking dude to open it for us than for it to budge by our own hands.
There we go. The door's opening.
By Duna's dagger. You here to free us or kill us?
The male dwarf expels 2 lungfuls of air and glances happily at his companion.
We've only been fretting here for a few hours, but it's felt like days. That snot-nosed priest's as slippery as a snake in an oil drum.
Ain't found nothing that lets on what Mordus is up to. Only thing we managed were to close that door and get us stuck. And if there's another door out there, never could find it.
Lohar ain't gonna be pleased.
Ain't no telling where that priest has gone to. Started acting all funny not so long ago, then flew the coop. Well, at first, he was just buddying around with Lohar and the rest, you know. But then he'd start looking all sickly and run off for a day or two. Then some stranger tried taking old Lohar down, but got himself caught and tied up. Ain't no coincidence Mordus went hanging around then.
She taps a finger against her forehead.
A woman knows things. Nothing's getting past me. Best we head off then. We've got business to attend to.
Careful. I've spotted a trap. Lohar will want to know of this.
The shrine depicts Duna, yet has clearly seen better days. Scratches and fissures deface its exterior, and its eyes have been gouged hollow. You run your hands along the exterior until your fingers graze the button noted in the schematic. There's no mistaking the sound of stone chafing stone. The entrance to the chamber grinds open, filling your lungs with slightly less stale air.
Well, this won't do. If I can get stuck, then I can get unstuck.
This shrine to Duna, there's no mistaking the sound of stone chafing stone. This shrine to Duna, the room remains just as mute and just as musty. This shrine to Duna, the room remains just... This shrine to Duna may have been quite beautiful before it was so. There's no mistaking the sound of stone chafing stone. The entrance to the chamber grinds open, filling your lungs with slightly less stale air.
I found something. A skull. It's missing an eye. As far as locks go, this one's pretty macabre.
Nice. Seems like I've got a real talent for this.
urns will shatter. The bones will rise.
The glowing corpse looks to you. The erratic rising and falling of its sternum is accompanied by melodramatic gurgles.
Come to me.
The creature groans unpleasantly. You see an undead figure chained to a torture rack, bones glowing a sickly green as if lit from within. It raises its head to look at you before lowering it again, exhausted from the effort.
Please, release me.
The creature's eyes roll in your direction. Its gasps grow more urgent. The creature's whine turns to a roar. The room reverberates as it shouts forth its own name.
I am Zash. The lights may not illuminate me, yet in darkness I cannot hide.
The beast goes silent and looks toward the nearby panel.
Mordus, the priest, not what he claims to be. Without me, he is nothing. A worm, a grub. He doesn't draw upon his own strength, his own source. With this contraption, he draws upon mine. Free me! Release me from Mordus' torture!
The skeleton ekes out a crackling moan.
The panel! 7 bless you.
into the dark with you.
Ain't no rest for any dwarf in Driftwood. Not even me.
Watch it. Those are source hounds.
Something must have picked up some source.
He smells a sorcerer.
I sense sauce on you.
Halt! The hound smells sauce on you. Plenty of it, by the sound of him. Haven't got a collar for you. Damn it. I'm sorry, but I can't let you leave. Hounds, at the ready. Fine, fine. Do all the gallivanting you want. But if a hand goes snapping at your heels, I'm looking the other way. I sense sauce.
That's off.
Careful out there. There's been a Voidwoken attack just today.
Take that, sorcerer! Dallas, get her!
You're dead, Alexander.
Nothing to show for it.
Alexander, you're dead. You have to stay dead until we say you're not dead anymore.
Here, mister! Alexander doesn't have to stay dead, does he?
The three kids stare at the collar in awe. Then they stare at you in even greater awe.
Is that real? Yeah, it's real. I seen the one they put on Joe's mum before she got sent to Fort Joy.
A real source collar. This is the best day of my life. Come here, sorcerer. I'm going to put a stop to your shenanigans for real.
The sorcerer screams and runs away. Dallas and Alexander in hot pursuit, all three children laughing.
I'm Dallas.
Dallas and Alexander mock fight their sorcerer foe, the broken collar hanging around her neck. They're having the time of their lives.
Might as well have rotted in the death fog. What's even the point? All this damn work and nothing to show for it. Might as well have rotted in the death fog. What's even the point? Useless. Bloody useless. Might as well have rotted in the death fog. What's even the point? All this damn work and nothing to show for it. Might as well have rotted in the death fog. What's even the point?
I smell cabbages. There's sauce
They
around
were
here.
right about me. I'm just another useless elf. Might as well have rotted in the death fog. What's even the point? Come on, lives are at stake. I'm approaching this the wrong way. I must be. Come on, damn you. Think. I'm approaching this the wrong way. I must be. They were right about me. I'm just another useless elf. Might as well have rotted in the death fog. What's even the point? All this damn work and nothing to show for it.
An elf in tattered red robes shifts through pages of handwritten notes spread across the table.
So many suspects. So many potential culprits. I need to narrow down the list. Think, you damn elf, think.
A floorboard creaks beneath your foot. The elf leaps around abruptly.
What? Why do you sneak up on me? Don't you know how dangerous that is, the way things are? Haven't you heard? My own Magister comrades are vanishing from right here in Driftwood. Whoever's behind it must be stopped. If you hear anything, come to me. I was removed from their ranks due to my elven blood. I'll continue to serve, though. I won't stand to see my comrades taken by some vile traitor. 3 Magisters vanished so far, all within Driftwood. My comrades believe some tinkerer named Higba is behind it all, but they're wrong. I'm certain of it. He might be a greedy little junk peddler and a sorcerer to boot, but hardly capable of seizing Magisters. That's what I'm intent on finding out. This tavern is full of scum and degenerates. The true culprit could easily conceal themselves amongst them. I have to keep investigating, keep the pressure up. The culprit will make a mistake eventually. If you see anything suspicious, let me know. You do that. Now away with you. What is it? Unless you know something about the disappearances, leave me alone. I need to concentrate. The cook? Of course, of course. I had worked it out for myself, naturally. I was just about to present my findings to the Magisters. Well done, stranger. So it was an elf all this time. Perhaps the Magisters were right to remove my kind from their ranks. The fiend has faced justice, I assume.
The elf's face falls a little. The chase is over, and he remains outside the Magister ranks.
And did you tell the Magisters? Did you take the credit for solving the disappearances? I had hoped maybe I could have been the one to solve the disappearances. Perhaps my comrades would have accepted me back into the fold then. No matter. Farewell, stranger. I never would have stopped those disappearances. I'm just another bloody useless elf. The Magisters were right to get rid of my kind.
The horn and shout the battle cry!
Yeah?
'Tis through their might that enemies may multiply.
Just when you start feeling better.
It's the great friends and lovers find you.
Magisters in the stew. I've been eating this for days.
Tread the proper trail.
What now? Got a kitchen and a bar to run. Bloody with you. Somebody should have taught her a little decorum.
You on the arse.
I don't care if we tear this place apart plank by plank. We will find him.
You can't just charge in here and ransack my business.
There's a murder on the loose, and you're thinking about your business.
I have rights.
You've been warned, Barnes. Now get out of my sight.
The Magister turns, and his eyes fall on you.
There's a sorcerer somewhere in this worm-ridden dump. Have you seen him? Grey cloak, grey beard, satchel of books. Whether the chef or Dallas herself are guilty, my orders are to search this factory. Lucian's teeth. Where is that runt hiding? If you see anything suspicious, anything at all, report it immediately. Do you understand? He's a sorcerer dressed as a tinkerer. Our brothers started vanishing as soon as the tramp arrived in town. He fled into this stinking shed, but we'll find him again. We'll have our justice.
You tell the Magisters. Then we can get them out, and you can get back to work.
The Magister looks at you for a long, hard moment. He seems angry, puzzled, and amused in equal measure.
We have all the evidence we need. There will be no court of appeal for this sorcerer. Now, I've got a coward to catch. Excuse me.
So much as a rat's hair out of place, you tell the Magisters. Then we can get them out, and you can get back to work.
Bugger off, I'm busy.
You tell the Magisters. Then we can get them out, and you can get back to work.
You see a man, well-fed and wealthy, but stress has lined his face and narrowed his waist. He tries to ignore your presence, fails. He sighs.
See here. I'm very busy. The factory is crawling with Magisters, and our shipments to Arks are held up. Time is money. Don't waste my money. What do you want? Fish. This is a fish factory. I'm shipping fish to Arks. Now, please, there's the door. I suggest you use it. That's privileged information. I have a trade to protect. Do I? But you're right, you don't seem the type. The answer to your question is, unsurprisingly, a man in a house. A man in a house buys all the void-tainted fish I can send him.
That dark shadow crosses his face once more. He shivers.
Not that I've ever met the man. Not sure I want to, if I'm honest. Absolutely not. I don't give away sensitive information like that to anyone who just asks for it. And I don't keep it lying around, neither. That really is enough now. I'm asking you to leave. Good day.
You see a man, well-fed and wealthy, but stress has lined...
You took your time. The Magisters are searching the place, and Lohar needs to get his stuff out of the basement if he doesn't want to lose it. Good. And if you get caught, I know nothing about it and this conversation never happened. Good day. If any of you see so much as a rat's hair out of place, you tell the Magisters. Then we can get them out, and you can get back to work.
You, tell me, have you seen a man acting suspiciously near here? Grey cloak, grey beard, satchel slung over his shoulder? The chef? What tripe? That waif can barely carve a ham. And murderer or not, Higba is still a sorcerer. He will be caught. Blast! Well, if you do see anything odd, report it immediately. There is a foul creature lurking in one of these shadows, and we will find him. A sorcerer. He arrived dressed as a tinkerer, but then Magisters started disappearing. As soon as we asked him about it, he fled. Who knows what he's done with our divine brothers? Why else would he run? If he had nothing to hide, he would have nothing to fear. Besides, he was seen with the effects of one of our company. I dread to think how he came about them. We chased him to this factory, but lost him on the docks. Now, I have a patrol to complete. If you see anything, tell me.
What? You been needing something from me, lad? Ain't much inclined to rub elbows with humans, if you catch my drift. Ain't no one been standing together since Lucian died. Ain't been no goodwill among your kind, or mine, or anyone else's since the Reds have been in charge. Glad to hear you say it. The day will come we'll overthrow 'em, you mark my words. Until then, I'll practice the art of gutting unspoiled fish. I had friends. Good friends. Not even dwarves, some of them. Reds put him on a ship, sailed him to Fort Joy. Ever heard of that place? Fort Joy? They send you there means you ain't never coming back. Pish posh. And who'll bail them out? Seekers? Them's even worse news, I reckon. Witches and warlocks, they say. No. Them friends of mine are dead or silenced. All on account of the Reds. All on account of Dallas, damn her heart. Fugitive? Ah, yeah. I don't think that's something I should be discussing with strangers. Because I don't intend to end up with me lips stitched together, that's why. No, I shan't be baited. I ain't saying nothing on the topic no more. Gods be buggered fine. I'll tell you all I know.
The dwarf leans in and begins whispering conspiratorially.
This fella runs along right, sweating, panicking. Reds racing after him like hunting hounds. Hide in a barrel, you fool, I yelled. And what do you know? He did. Problem is, he's still in there. Been hours. Can't go nowhere, he can't, not with the Reds around. Hope that fella makes it out of Driftwood. The Reds will kill him if they find him. Like I said, they're either dead or silenced. Gods know I couldn't tell which fate is worse.
The dwarf peers at an expertly dissected fish, gently poking its innards with his knife.
Fascinating. Most fascinating. Oh, my. I mean, no. What do you want? What's it to you?
The dwarf grimaces and points the tip of his knife at his handiwork.
Whatever's wrong with these fish is causing a lot of hardship for a lot of folk. I want to figure out what's happening to them. See if there's anything that can be done. Yes, as it happens. I need to see the effects of eating these fish firsthand, if you understand me. No, I can't eat the fish. I need to properly observe its effects, and I can't do that if I'm indisposed. Do as I ask, and you'll be amply rewarded, I guarantee you. Wonderful. Now, there's 3 samples that I wish to learn more about. Care to choose?
The fish instantly churns your insides. You double over in pain. A sudden vivid sensation of floating in darkness assails you. There's something in there with you. Something. Hungry and corrupt. You can't breathe. You can't breathe. The dwarf suddenly drifts back into view, peering at you with fascination.
How do you feel?
A stream of black bile suddenly erupts from your mouth and across the dwarf's boots. He doesn't even look displeased.
I see. Well, I'm sure it was nothing but a side effect of the fish. Speaking of which, I've learned a great deal from observing you. I owe you a great debt.
The dwarf puffs up his chest and proudly gestures to the fish.
The fish is indeed malignant. Humans are affected by it in the same manner as other species. Thank you, but no. I can only allow for one specimen per volunteer, or my findings could become flawed. The fish you ate is known as yellow ridgeback. Quite a cunning breed, often used in concoctions to increase alertness. But this one, touched by the void itself. Who is to say how such a creature might alter an alertness mixture? Seek out somewhere that peddles alertness herb mixes. Adding these unique ridgebacks might make quite the impact. So, now my work must continue, as soon as I've got in my quota of fish, of course. Farewell, stranger.
You tell the Magisters. Then we can get them out, and you can get back to work.
The dwarf peers at an expertly dissected fish, gently poking its innards with his knife.
Fascinating. Most fascinating. Oh, my. No, what do you want?
With a small grin, the dwarf glances between you and his handiwork and shrugs.
Indeed I am. They can close our schools, but they can't take away what I've been taught. Besides, there's still so much to learn. Plenty. These tainted fish are causing a lot of hardship. If I can understand what's happening to them, perhaps there'll be a way to reverse the effects. Yes, as it happens. I need to see the effects of eating these fish, firsthand, if you understand me. Wonderful. Now, I have two, samples that I...
The fish instantly churns your insides. Everything turns black. A sudden vivid sensation of floating in darkness assails you. There's something in there with you. Something. Hungry and corrupt. You can't breathe. You can't... The dwarf suddenly drifts back into view, peering at you with fascination.
How do you feel?
A stream of black bile suddenly erupts from your mouth and across the dwarf's boots. He doesn't even look displeased.
Well, I'm sure any discomfort will pass shortly. Besides, I've learned a great deal from observing you. I'm in your debt, stranger.
The dwarf puffs up his chest and...
The fish is indeed malignant. Lizards are affected by it in the same manner as other species. Ah, yes, of course, but this mightn't be quite what you were expecting, but, well, the fish you ate is known as crimson bream, quite a fast, vicious breed. It's often used in the creation of ferocity mixtures, but those use regular specimens, not this kind. Who is to say what might happen if you brewed a ferocity mixture with a crimson bream that's been touched by the void itself? The effects could be quite potent. Seek out somewhere that peddles ferocity herb mixes, but make an addition. One of these, unique breams. So, now my work must continue, as soon as I've got in my quota of fish, of course. Farewell, stranger.
The dwarf peers at an expertly dissected fish.
Fascinating. Oh, my... what do you want?
The dwarf brushes your hand off and shuffles back a step or two.
I do not have... I ain't got no time for talking, dwarf or not. I've got to carry on with my job.
The dwarf appraises you for a moment, then sighs, and jabs his knife at one of the dissected fish.
Whatever's wrong with these fish is causing a lot of hardship for a lot of folk. I want to figure out what's happening. Yes, as it happens. I need to see the effects of eating these fish, firsthand, if you understand me. This brown fish is the last...
The fish instantly churns your insides. Everything turns black. A sudden vivid sensation of floating in the dwarf suddenly drifts back into view.
How do you feel?
A stream of black bile suddenly erupts from your mouth and across the...
I see. Well, I'm sure it was nothing. Speaking of which, I've learned a great deal from him.
The dwarf puffs up his...
The fish is indeed malignant. Dwarves are affected by it in the same manner as other species. Ah, yes, of course, but this mightn't be quite what you were expecting. The fish you ate is known as the umber monkfish, a remarkably intelligent breed. In fact, its flesh is often used to create intelligence mixtures. Now this monkfish, one that's been touched by the void itself, who's to say how its flesh could augment an intelligence brew? It could prove to be most valuable. Find somewhere that offers intelligence brews, then add this monkfish sample. The effects could be most interesting. So, now my work must continue, as soon as I've got in my quota of fish, of course. Farewell, stranger.
If any of you see so much as a rat's hair out of place, you tell the Magisters. Then we can get them out, and you can get back to work.
The dwarf peers at an expertly dissected...
Fascinating. Oh, my... what do you want?
With a small grin.
Indeed I am. Plenty. These tainted fish are causing a lot of hardship. If I can understand what I have to try. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I need to see the effects of eating these fish firsthand. Kind of you to offer. Very kind. But no, I've no need for test subjects right now. Thank you, though. I ought to return to my work.
The dwarf reaches into a barrel and pulls out a fish. His knife glides through the scales, crimson guts spilling out in its wake. The innards fall to the floor, landing in a pool of dark bile. You'd expect fish to smell, but these reek.
You see the nose on my face, don't you? I bloody know it smells, and I don't care as long as it sells. And sells it does. Somehow. But the boss has found a buyer for this lot. It's to be shipped off to Arx in the next wagon, if you'd believe it.
He runs his knife through another fish and flicks the blade, sending a shower of guts to the ground.
I'd say your guess is as good as mine. Except I got the sense not to ask any questions. Now why don't you march on? I ain't been paid to wag me chin.
The dwarf turns back to his work, slicing and disemboweling fish after fish as the blood and black bile mix and swirl around his boots. Looking at the barrel, you see that someone has scrawled Black House on it in paint. You cast your eyes around to see that every barrel headed to Arx has the same inscription.
Here, leave them barrels alone. I told you to take a hike, so scram!
You'd swear the shark was smiling at you.
told me.
You'd swear the shark was smiling at you. Behind the containers, the fish in one of the barrels shifts slightly.
Please, you have to help me. The Magisters have gone mad. I'm a salesman. I tinker. I fix things. I wonder. I buy and sell books when I can. I had nothing to do with those Magisters vanishing. Please help me. I don't want to die. I don't want them to take me. I just need to get out of Driftwood. I can't risk being seen, but if you can get out of town, I can escape to Arx. Please, I'll do anything. Just don't let them see me. Don't let them find me. Thank you, my Lucian. 7 times divine, thank you. I'll follow your lead, but please, be careful. If the Magisters see me, I'm done for.